Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so draft day, y'all. Draft day, NBA draft day. Happy first round day, everybody. Sending good energy and prayers out to everybody whose lives are going to be moving in one direction or another. This is very exciting. Anytime anybody or any walk of life is going to have to potentially move from where they're comfortable at into a new space, it's always something that I consider sensitively. You know, if a guy's going to get drafted to a certain team, his life is going somewhere. His family's going to be a certain way. And there's a lot of different things that happen in your life that are possible when you find yourself in new places. Some of these guys are going to meet their significant other, have kids in these places. Some of these guys are going to, find homes in these places, live there for the rest of their lives, and they've never been to these places up until this point. Some of these guys are going to be journeymen, and this starts the process of a path that may be favorable but may not be, etc. There's a human aspect to this conversation that I want to start this video off with. Prayers out to anybody who's being uprooted or sent in a different direction, whether it be exciting or not so welcome. The human side of this is important. But just the same, the basketball side of it is very important as well. And I'm excited about what's going to happen tonight, man. I think that the top 4 picks are pretty much solidified, maybe not in the order that maybe people expect, but you do expect that it's going to be some variation of Darren Peterson, Boozer, Devonsta, Wilson, top 4. I think that's pretty much solidified. What order? I think that it's expected to be solidified. Peterson going 2nd, AJ 1, Boozer 3, Wilson 4. I don't know if I'm so sold that that's what's going to happen, if I'm being honest with you. But as far as what I'm hearing, it probably should go that way. But I'm curious about what Utah is going to do. I think it's AJ is pretty much a lock to go 1. In fact, I've been hearing reports that they 3 days ago it was said that the Wizards are locked in on AJ. I'm pretty sure AJ is 1. Peterson at 2, I ain't so sure about. I think there's a world where Peterson could drop to 4, honestly. I just don't know if people are going to be moved in a positive direction about what they're seeing from him or what they've seen from him, or a negative reaction to what they've seen from him. And so his talent is, no one's going to deny that. Anybody that knows basketball, seeing this guy play basketball, knows he's very talented. And maybe some context to some of the struggles at Kansas. I do believe that, you could take what he said at face value, that he had an allergic reaction to something that he took, some type of creatine, that might have caused the problems that we saw there. I also think that there's a world where he was trying to protect himself from any type of injury that would otherwise put him in a position to not be available for the draft or not have a good start to his career, mess with his draft stock. You don't want to mess that up for a guy with that higher level. He should be playing the NBA anyway, so I'm pretty sure he's looking at it that way, and may have kind of influenced some of the decisions he made. But, overall, I just think that this is a kid that if you get him, he can play at a very, very, very high level out the gate, and the upside is immense. So I don't think anybody's going to be unhappy to have him if he's locked in and ready to go. How much of a risk it is to take him when a guy like Boozer's on the board is an entirely different question, especially when Boozer's dad is in your front office and you've had a great deal of success with him as his dad. So it's like, you not carry that forward? Does that not hold some weight versus the concerns that could be present with this kid? I think it holds more weight than people are thinking. And I picked Boozer to go number 2 overall in my mock. And I have not shaken the idea that it may be what the Jazz consider come tonight. I would not expect that should be something you bet on. I think a betting man would probably say Peterson 2. But, and maybe if you have Peterson tiered above Boozer significantly, maybe you think it's smart to take Peterson and trade him afterward if you're going to trade him, or force the team that wants Peterson to trade up, or whatever. Maybe there's a lot of different things that the Jazz are considering if they don't love Peterson at 2. But for me, I understand repeated behavior is a real thing, and what they did with Ace Bailey last year is take him despite him trying to position himself away from the Utah Jazz. Maybe it's reasonable for people to say Utah chooses whoever they want. I've seen many people take that position. They expect repeated behavior. I don't know. Sometimes it's smart to just say, you know what, I wasn't doing it that time. Maybe it's a good idea not to try to do that too many times. And that's it just depends on the brain, you know. Sometimes people see something working, they keep doing it. Most people see something working, they keep doing it. I don't think it's always smart to think that just because this worked last time that it's going to work this time, or that the stakes are the same. Because I don't think the stakes are the same. And so when you're weighing it that way, you just wonder if you're going to see repeated behavior from Danny Ainge, taking a guy that may not want to be a Jazz again with a high-level pick, or if it makes sense for him to weigh all of what it is that's going on with him, Peterson, and just go with the kid who already has his dad in your front office, especially with the success of the Knicks and what they were able to do with the Brunson family just 2 weeks ago. So it's like, I don't know. The Jazz, it's hard to get people to want to re-sign in small markets, man. It really is. Keep a guy happy. You saw what just went on with Giannis and Milwaukee and the crap they just went through. If you're the Jazz and you're trying to figure out who your pillar, who your number one guy is, it shouldn't be a number one guy that potentially don't want to be there. And so that's really my take on it. It's like, I don't know if they should want this player. If for some reason they're looking at him and they saying, yo, he may not want to be here, maybe it's in their best interest to take someone else, especially since these are such elite prospects. It's not like the tier difference is substantial between Peterson and Boozer. There are a lot of people, a lot of good people who know this game who say that Boozer's the better prospect any damn way. And when you consider the Kessler thing, the fact that he may be on his way out, that opens up a front court opportunity. And then you consider, I don't know how much they like Isaiah Collier, but it's not like they don't have talented guards. You got plenty of talented guards. So what's your take on that? That's what I would say. I wonder what you guys think of that. For me, I got them taking Boozer, but if you expect repeated behavior, then you expect that they'll take Peterson, and it shouldn't be too much to it than that. My Lakers, that's obviously I'm a Laker fan, so that's immediately where my head goes for the draft tonight. I read the board. That's really what it is. I look at what's available to me. I go by what tiers I have players in, and I just take the best player available at 25. Maybe if it's a center, I go for the center, right? If a guy like Terrence Reed is available and the board doesn't look very good, I probably expect the Lakers to take Terrence Reed. My hope right now, with about 4 hours to go before the draft, is that Quaintance will be available to the Lakers and that they will pull the trigger on Quaintance. That's my hope. I just want the elite rim protecting young center that can kind of solidify the center position for years to come. Most people think this is a lottery pick anyway. You think at worst he's going to be an elite defender if his health permits. Problem is, if he falls to 25, that means people don't expect his health to permit. I think at this point, that's a worthy risk, especially for a team that did this last year. Once again, repeated behavior potential with Adu Thero. Do you want to take another guy that could potentially have issues just because they have elite capabilities? And I think the answer is, in this case, yeah. We're the Lakers, man. It's not. We have chosen not to invest in the center position. It's not that there's so few centers in the league that are good, or that it's just impossible for some teams to get centers. We've just neglected the center position. So we need to invest in the center position, and we need to look at the center position as if for some reason we strike out with this Quaintance pick and he doesn't pan out, we still, the Lakers, we should be able to, if we put our heads down, be able to fill the position. So that's two things that work in tandem that let me feel like it's okay to take Quaintance. Because it is a position that I feel like we can fill if we put our head down and focus on it. And because we haven't, we should be trying to get the best one we can in this draft. So that's really my take on it. I probably, and I know a lot of people ain't gonna like this, but I probably do try to re-sign DeAndre Ayton. I don't want him to be my starter. I think he's gonna be a career backup going forward. In that role, he should be very good. if he's going to be a backup going forward, he's going to be very good. It's that you have him starting is a problem. But if you're going to ask him to be the number 2 center on your team, and you got somebody ahead of him that you really like, that's a good role for him going forward. And so that's why I'm like, I still probably resign him, and I just reimagine his role and say, I want you to be a backup from here on out. But yeah, I think, it's been said that the Lakers are going to try to target a big. I think Quaintance and Reed is what I heard they would be interested. Those are the 2 players they would be interested in. With a couple hours before the draft, those are the 2 players I'm interested in too as a fan. Vassar, I love the idea of a stretch 5, but I don't think he's a real 5 because he's only 220 pounds. That's not heavy enough to play the center position. You can stretch the floor, and you're going to be a good one too. But when you're talking about center position, that's the concern, man. And given the fact that the Lakers did not try to get in on the Nicholas Claxton conversation, that tells me that they probably are not interested in a slender center. Because the Lakers could have absorbed Claxton into our books just like the Bulls did yesterday in that trade. Bulls didn't give up anything. They could have very easily said, yo, we'll outbid the Bulls by throwing literally something in. And we could have made sure Claxton was ours. We didn't do that, and that tells me that they didn't want Claxton. And the only reason why the Lakers probably wouldn't want Claxton is because he's another one of 220-pound centers. So that is a tea leaf for me in my brain to say that the Lakers probably not interested in Vassar either for that exact same reason. Now, you could say Vassar stretches the floor versus Claxton, whom I don't know that he does. So maybe that's like, okay, well, that's a nugget that speaks to something else. But I really do think the Lakers would prefer a beefy center. I really do. I think they would prefer a beefy center or an energetic, heavier center. And if neither one of those pieces are on the board, then I can see them maybe taking Vassar. I can see them trading down. I can see them trading the pick. Or I can see them taking a different position, different player, I can see them totally going after to say, forget it, let's just get us a guard and then we'll figure out, something else. Or to get us a forward and we'll figure something else out. So, there's a lot of different directions. I would love for the Lakers to walk away with several of these pieces in this round. So I think if we get one of them, we'll be happy. Can't have them all anyway. I think there are a lot of people who want Vassar, a lot of people want Swain, a lot of people want Quaintance. I've heard some people who've been excited about Jefferson. I'm a Jefferson guy at this point. I like, Graves. If we walk away with Graves, I'm a huge fan of what he does. I really like Christian Anderson, even though I don't think this is a great fit for him. I really like Malik Thomas, even though I don't think this is a great fit for him. I'm not the biggest Evans fan, but I think if he got here, I would love him. Like, his energy is infectious, you know what I mean? I'm not a huge fan of the one-trick pony 3-point shooter, but like once he gets here, yeah, you love Evans. It's not even a question about that. Dude is gonna make you love him for sure. I don't have no question about that. I just don't know if I want to use my 25th overall pick on him when I have other things that I could be doing. But like, it's a lot. Like, even if we were to use a pick on a guy that I don't really love, at like, for example, if we use it on Caravan or something like that, I think he'd come in and be an excellent piece for us. It's that type of thing. So while I don't love the range we're in, I've become accustomed to the idea that there are a lot of pieces in this range that could be good role players for us. Not the greatest upside for all of them, but really good role players. Really good, and maybe one or two of them could be like the guy that you love getting. So that's why I'm like, I'm pretty open-minded about this 25th overall pick. What I don't want the Lakers to do is trade it for Daniel Gafford. That's what I don't want to do. But if you happen to make a trade, let's say you trade down with Dallas, you get Gafford, give them 25, they give you 30. That may not be the worst idea. I don't think I'd be angry at all, because I think that the same guy I can get at 25, I can probably get at 30. So that's an option if they really want Gafford. I'm just not a Gafford guy. I really don't think much of Gafford. I think he's a nice offensive rebounder. He shoots very well from in the paint, but he's really limited. He's limited. I think you're getting him because he showed that he can play well with Luka. We did that with Dodo. That's not really a thing in my opinion. I don't have Gafford being as valuable as others do. I saw some crazy trade where the Lakers were giving up multiple firsts and Jared Vanderbilt for Gafford. It was a Mavs-centric post, though. It was like a Mavs post. So their intention is to dupe us to make themselves feel better about something that their franchise should have never did. And, I laugh at that type of stuff. That's a joke, thinking I'm going to agree to make you feel better. because you did some stupid shit. Not gonna happen. So I know my Lakers organization, our focus right now is kind of filling out our front office. I think that's what really the Lakers are more focused on in this draft, to be honest with you. So I hope they don't make a mistake neglecting the draft because they're so focused on filling out personnel. But I think, when it comes down to it, if you're the Lakers, getting your front office in place is important. Everything else is important too, but nothing more important than getting that brain trust for future seasons and for your next rebuilding process to have a real good infrastructure for decision making. So I like what the Lakers are doing. It's smart. It's what I asked them to do, basically, is to fix our front office. And they were doing that. So I'm happy as a fan. It's not sexy, the stuff that the Lakers are doing right now, but it's essential to have the right brain trust in place so that you can do the sexy things. So I'm happy with the Lakers and what they're doing. Another team I'm interested in is the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, they've traded up into the 28th spot. Now that opens up the door for an entirely different calculus for that pick, as to where the Minnesota Timberwolves needed certain things at 28. Now they're at 33. The Brooklyn Nets are at 28. Now they have 2 picks in the first round. So does that affect what their calculus is for the 6th overall pick? Knowing that maybe can be something that they can address with the 28th pick if they want to go positional fit logic. It's a lot of stuff that the Nets could do. I think that's a decent spot for a swing-heavy piece like Koa Pete. Suddenly you feel great about a team like the Brooklyn Nets bringing a guy like that in. Julius Randle kind of, I guess you could say, mentoring him and having a really strong front court full of athletic front court pieces. Maybe they can go with a guy like Malik Thomas, although I don't think they should really be considering guards too much. Maybe they take a Terrace Reed or keep a guy like Zuby Ejiofor home, since he's, a New York guy in college. So, it's a lot of stuff that the Nets can do. I'm very curious to see what they do tonight. Clippers are really interesting because I still think they could trade the pick. I don't know that they're sold on Wagler like that. I don't know that they're sold on another guard like that. It's not easy to put some of those little guards next to Garland. So I'm curious about what they do. Curious about OKC, if they're going to trade up, moving both of their picks to try to get into the top 10. I think that's something they want to do. I understand they want Mara. If I'm Atlanta, I'm going to do everything I can to ensure he's a Hawk at 8. So that's interesting. Golden State's interesting. There's a lot of teams that are interesting. Charlotte Hornets interesting with their 2 picks. Do they move up? I haven't heard anything about them considering that, but they could definitely use a size advantage in a multiple positions. So it's going to be curious to see how they use their picks. And the champs are interesting too, because I don't think people realize how good of a pick they have in the second round. They could very easily take 24 and 32 and try to move into the top 20 themselves and get themselves a nice piece to add to what it is that they have in a championship situation. So I think they're kind of interesting too, man. I think the Knicks are very interesting in this draft because they really could walk away with 2 first-round talents in the back of the first round, early second round. So it's just a lot. It's a lot to consider, man. I'm really, really curious about how this draft day goes, how the board pans out, what logic teams are using, who's going to make the first decision that we look at and say that's absolutely insane, because somebody's going to do that. Somebody's going to do something crazy. Somebody's going to take an Alex Caravan with the 18th overall pick or something weird. Watch. It's going to happen. And when it does, we'll react to it. So this is one of the most fun days for me, man. NBA draft day. We've prepared for this on this channel. I appreciate everybody for allowing me to throw so many players at you over the last 3 months. And we're about as educated as we would possibly want to be in regards to both rounds. And we'll see if people use the logic I want to use. When it comes to the second round, I'll probably talk about this tonight after the first round. But I just think some of these little guards that are projected to go in the second round rather, some of these little 6'4 dudes, 6'2 dudes, I think people need to pass on them and go after the 6'7", 6'8 guys. Size is so damn important in this league, man. And you see so many times where teams value shooting in smaller, compact players who end up getting played off the floor because they're too damn small. Or you start finding out they get bullied by these big-ass teams like Detroit and Orlando, bullying the hell out of these teams with these little bitty players. I'm not interested in these little guys unless they can do multiple things. You know what I mean? There's only a few of them that I think I'm taking with one of my first 15 picks in the second round. I'm reaching down for some of these people that you probably never heard of, who are just bigger human beings, man. Honestly, it's too many guys that are going to be eating up second round picks that are about my height or a little taller. That just don't make no sense to me in the modern day when we see what size matters in this league, how much size matters in this league. I don't understand why so many of the top second round picks are projected to go to people that are under 6'5". I don't get it. And I think the NBA is about to make a huge mistake by wasting second round picks on those players. I really do. So that's pretty much what I got to say. My name's BDL44. I thank y'all for watching.